Hi, I am Terence, also known as Ubin Artist, also known as Hochu to the locals here. When I first came to Ubin, this was a long time ago when I was an undergraduate, a graduate perhaps. And I was working on a film with Christina This was a film called Happy Birthday Grandma, and I was playing a son whose grandma was staying on Pulau Ubin, of course. So I came here, we did a shoot, we did the filming, and I met Akok for the first time. This guy I ended up staying with for a while here on Pulau Ubin, a guy I ended up taking care of later on in my life. I met his mom, who was my co-star, the grandma. It was quite an experience for me to see the environment, to see Akok collecting vegetables, to see the area where their pets, their cats, dogs all hanging out each other, dogs taking care of kittens, and vice versa, chickens in the coop, and a family staying there. And here we were interfering with their lives to do this, to do this little idea of ours about communications in Singapore. Yeah, so that was my first experience. When I came to Ubin and I see uncle, when I see one uncle hop off his boat, jumping from boat to boat, and then getting on to his little jetty, his personal little jetty, coming over to say hello to the auntie in a van, driving the van, and then just speaking this wonderful Teochew that I haven't heard in a way. There was a certain familiarity to it. For us, by the time we're in Singapore, we communicate so differently already. But for them, it was like there was something that it was though I was a child all over again. So I've been coming back ever since to enjoy that. As a community artist, it was about connecting with the people who stay here, thinking about how to interpret the stories that they have, the lives that they have, in a way where where the people I'm trying to reach out to, Singaporeans back home, how can they see what I see? How can they appreciate and enjoy what I am enjoying right now? That's what I'm trying to express, and as we said earlier about architecture, right? You see these things that are self-made, self-taught, that are unbridled, that are really authentic, and then you see the patterns that you don't get to see back home. You see decision making that is unique, specific to the environment, specific to living conditions, specific to tensions between neighbors, specific to businesses or whatever. And it's all very organic and ground up, which is very different from something that's planned top down. This one is sort of grown and developed by trial and error. And so, yeah, I got to stay here, and I really started to appreciate and enjoy, and that's why I wanted to stay over more and more often. So I kept staying until I ended up, and then somebody said, hey, just stay my place, keep painting, keep doing your thing. And then eventually I literally had to learn the ropes. I still suck at ropes, but, I literally had to, sometimes somebody say, hey, I need to go and get diesel from out there, come with me. And then I'm like so scared, right? It's like freaking out, on this small little boat, this motorized boat, and it's like, and then they toss something to me, and I'm like not ready and so clumsy. And then one villager was like, like this also cannot, like this also don't know, and then he ties his canister of diesel on the bike, and then pissed off, Obviously, I was like, okay, I don't belong. Yeah, it was a steep learning curve in that sense. Staying here, the first challenges were, of course, not belonging. I didn't belong. Obviously, I'm not from here. I'm not a family member. I didn't have any friends from here. So of course there was a lot of quizzical suspicion. There's a lot of resistance. Why is this guy here? They were like, stop taking photos. And here I am trying to record my experience, archive it. Oh my God, it's so amazing, guys! And they get angry with you, So painting and drawing became the answer. That was a way to record it. I remember one of the wonderful things I remember was when I was just hanging out with some of the taxi uncles. at the taxi stand over there. And then one of the guys came in and was like, guys, you know, I found this wonderful little herb up there, you know. If you go this way and then you climb up down here and then you look for the tree over there and then you go left over here and then you find this herb. I think this herb very good for your lungs, you know, or very good for your, if you're having a migraine, this is a very good one, right? Let's try it, yeah. There is a knowledge about our nature, but it's not just about that, it's about sharing that knowledge. It's about this, they're not trying to commercialize it, they're not trying to own it, they're not trying to monopolize. They're just sharing it because if I take care of my neighbors are around to take care of me. It's a wonderful little community ecosystem with nature, with our environment. And this is the reason why just going overseas is not sufficient. It's because you need to know the workings of negotiation and politics. How did these people negotiate to keep their space like this? And then from there, how do you go back and negotiate with your neighbors and your community? And it's that Singaporeanness that you must work with. It's not something that you can go and understand, say, in a community or a village in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, or, you know, in Malaysia or in Thailand. It's something that's quite specific to us, where, I mean, the villagers here also is like, even a older Malay auntie would be like, and then after you borrow your sugar, must write down in your notebook and then remember to return your sugar. We always remember to return. Yeah, the 555 little blue notebooks, you know, like, you must remember to note down. And I was like, that's very interesting. That's a quirk that maybe you can't find elsewhere. It's quite specific here. You know, all these little nuggets, all these little things, and then, you know, you go to the shop and it was like, oh yeah, that's the 555 notebook that auntie talked about. And then, yeah, okay. I'll get that, and I'll make sure I remember to jot down what I borrowed and what so I return. Find a way to stay here. You know, find a way to maybe camp here. Okay. Something that you can do is camp here. Experience Ubin at night. Experience what it's like to cycle or to have to take care of each other because there are wild boars about, because there are monkeys about. And then wake up the next morning at 5 a.m. and look at the stars and hear the birds and, you know, and soak that all in and then start the day again. You will see your neighbors in a completely different light. You will see the villagers in a completely different light. See that first kopi that they have. See how they're all waiting for uncle to boil the hot water because he's the only one with the charcoal. You know, taking the MRT will never feel the same again.
I think that sounds good.